back on the charger. Fuel system retrofit. I have finished the whole fuel line completely, wrapped it up, it's all tight. You can see the fuel log there, pressure gauge. I ran the fuel feed down to here. I left a kind of a loop over here just for a little added fuel, taking a page out of Smokey Unix book. You can kind of see down there, it's a little dark, but actually I gotta get some more lighting on this project channel slash, but you can see the routing of it basically from there all the way down there, kind of around the horns, and you can see it kind of feeding into that the filter. That's the final filter there, and it's hardline basically to all the back. So that's the way we're leaving off there. So now I'm gonna go to the wiring side of things. Now, if you think my videos are too long, I'm sorry. Here's the thing. When I watch YouTube, which I do when my wife's not around, I watch YouTube to learn stuff. And I make these videos to help you learn at least what I'm doing. And I'm not the most complicated guy in the world, but I do like technical stuff as much as my brain can process, at least. But if you're looking for a quick turn and burn video that doesn't have any storyline or teach you anything, this is probably not the place for you. With that said, I show every step of the way so you can follow along. No other reason. I'm not just some lonely guy that likes to post long videos. It's truthfully just to provide some context and a path for you if you choose to do what I'm doing. Or you can even refer back to what I'm doing if and when this stuff happens to you. Trial and error. A lot of it's about trial and error. In fact, I would say most of it starts with a dream. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling. So this is my trigger for my MSD box. The amperage is not high on this. This is just a trigger, meaning when the ignition in the car is turned on, this gets power and it triggers this box down there, the MSD. That's my ignition box, the 6AL digital. And a lot of people get this confused because this is not where the high voltage goes. This is just a trigger to say, hey box, time to go. And inside that box, it relays a large current flow directly from the battery. So that's where the major juice comes from, is from the battery side. And so if you look at an MSD manual, you'll see two powers. This is the smaller one. On the other side, we have the American Auto Wire, and this is the, I guess you could call it like the accessory harness, if you will. And they give you, let's see, six circuits that are not part of the operational system, like turn signals, headlights, and that's kind of stuff. It gives you options like power seats, power windows, power door locks. They even have a fuel pump circuit, which is what we're going to utilize for this. The trigger, or the hitch is, and I found this out if you watch these videos, I found that if there's two categories with these circuits, and the two categories are always powered and only powered when ignition is on. So you really have to determine by looking at the fuse cover here which circuit you want to use and how it's going to be used. And with that said, I initially had my MSD box trigger on an ignition wire, or actually, what was it? Oh, it doesn't matter at this point, but what happened was the trigger I was using before I put the MSD trigger on it was actually interrupting during crank, and that would kill my ignition box. Therefore the car wouldn't start unless I shorted the starting relay with my screwdriver. So there's a long-winded explanation as to why I used the fuel pump circuit for this. Now it seems like a no-brainer, right? Just use the fuel pump for the fuel pump, right? But I didn't have an electronic fuel pump before. Now I do. So now I'm going to use this trigger for the MSD box on the fuel pump circuit as well, so there's no interruption during crank. Secondly, my trigger here, or I'm sorry, this is the load side of my fuel pump. Sorry, I'm trying to think out loud and there's a bunch of stuff going on. This is the load of my fuel pump. So basically, this isn't going to connect with this. This is going to be connected to a relay. But I'm going to create a trigger at the relay for for this fuel pump. Oh, here it is. So I've got this little 30 amp. It's a regular 30 amp ice cube relay. It's got all the typical markings on it, and I'll show you just a quick at a glance how these little relays work. And they're mostly just the same. So I drew this up just for your reference. You can find hundreds of these little drawings online, but this one is mine. And you can see the terminals are fairly general: 87, 86, 30, and 85. So obviously 85 is our ground. Battery 12 volt in is our trigger. I'm sorry, this is, see, I'm already confusing it. This is the 12 volts directly to the battery, powering the relay. So this is where the current is going to flow, the large amount of current. The trigger also has current, it's just in a smaller scale. So this trigger, when the ignition is turned on, is going to get power. The power is then going to flow from this battery input, which is directly to the battery, out to the load. The load is going to power that red wire inside the car, this guy right here, which goes directly to the fuel pump. So I didn't want you guys to get confused, because a trigger and a load is two totally different things. And now this is a low amperage pump. I think I said 3 amps, so it's not a tremendous amount of load. It's just more reliable to use an ice cube relay. That's what this is, because you have a direct connection to the positive post on the battery. Hopefully that makes sense. So now I need to make a few wires, and so I need to make a ground wire, I need to make a trigger wire that'll tandem with this guy, and I need to cut this guy and terminate it to the relay, and I'll bring you along as I do that, and then you kind of get a better visualization as to what I'm doing here. I'm one of those guys that has to see before I'll be able to learn, and hopefully this helps you. I should also point out that these are called F terminals. These come with most automotive retrofit wiring harnesses, and they're pretty standard in the older vehicle world, because they fit into these kind of connectors. It's like a barb. It's like a barb terminal on it. You can see there, that's what holds it in. But there's actually two different sizes of these. One's got a bigger head on it, or a receiver, and I'm using the smaller ones, and you kind of have to use whatever size your connector uses. So I have my trigger for the fuel pump wire here. It's about, I don't know, 2 feet long. And then my trigger for my MSD. I'm putting them together because they're both going to be triggered from the fuel pump circuit. And again, that fuel pump circuit is 20 amps. Way more than I need. But I want it to be reliable and protected by a fuse. So that's what I'm going to go with. I can always change it down the road if I need to. But there's not a ton of electronics in this car, so it'll be just fine. I've got plenty of other circuits to utilize if need be. But I like to do things super safe, and so I don't have problems down the road. I already have enough problems with the aftermarket and quality parts, or lack thereof. So got to get your orientation correct. So I always kind of have to go, once you put one wire in, you kind of know where you're going to be as far as where the power is coming from. So that'd be our bottom left, and then it goes in there, putting the barb in the right side, waiting for a click. There we go. So now we have our orientation, and the battery is disconnected. I'm trying to be super safe and responsible, so I can push this guy in. So now it's connected. So, and always leave your wires long. You can always tie them up with a zip tie and so on and so forth. But as soon as you start splicing into things and extending them and makes troubleshooting for the next guy or you in 20 years a lot harder. So now my relay, and I'm a big advocate of not drilling holes and stuff unless I have to. So I'm probably just going to use a little bit of Velcro and tie this thing up once it's all connected. So I do need to land my trigger here on my relay, which is, dude, you get some shrink wrap real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go the shrink wrap, only because this relay is going to be inside the car, so it really doesn't require it. Honestly, it's just fine putting these kind of terminals on the relay, and we're basically just going directly to the relay with these connectors, so it's real straightforward. Okay, so I got my load on terminal 87. Trigger is going to be on 86. And the hard part is running the ground and battery power, because you got to just basically do a home run to the battery. And I have a bulkhead in this car, which is like a sealed connector between that sandwiches the firewall, and I'm going to keep that. I'm not going to drill any holes and then eventually the bulkhead connector will get silicone in the empty terminals. Okay, so now, oh, and I should mention that the center terminal on this relay doesn't get used in this case, so you just leave it alone. So all that's left now that we have our trigger and our load, and again, this is battery in, oh, I'm sorry, battery in is going to be on this terminal here. No, that's the ground, sorry. I'm really confusing you guys. 30 is this guy, and then this will be ground. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of what I'm telling you. All right, so we've got our 30 amp cube relay wired up, found a ground, nice convenient ground, and I've got this is my number 10. This is for the load, so this is the fuel pump. This is the battery power coming in through the bulkhead that I ran, and let's see here, this guy is our fuel pump power. So this is ignition in, that's this guy here. So this is a low load ignition trigger, and then this is our battery, and this is our load and ground, of course. So just trying to keep you from getting lost here. So now I need to get some light. Give me a sec. I got to go on the other side of the bulkhead now to show you where I'm going to continue that circuit, which needs to be fused. So give me a sec. All right, so I have obviously this American Auto Wire harness, and it has a bulkhead just kind of like stock, but it's quite a bit different, but it does do the same thing, clamshells. And so I utilized, you just unscrew it, and then you can see, I pushed that battery wire, instead of drilling a hole and putting a grommet through, I chased it through this bulkhead, which is what you're supposed to do because there are spares. It's like a 1, 2, 3 other spares for any other circuits that need to go directly into the engine compartment or battery. So this is the one I went to right here on the bottom, the second one in from the very bottom, which is adjacent to a tan wire. So that's my battery wire. So basically I have to duplicate, I got to put that battery feed here, and it's kind of hard to see because there's wires stacked on it, but I have a number 10 that's going to go into this second one right here. So I've got this guy, and you don't need insulation or shrink wrap on these guys. Just put a bare terminal just like this. This is an F terminal, and you can see there's no insulation. The first one I made up, I actually put shrink wrap on it, but if you could see the little tangs that stick out on the bottom below where you crimp, so one of the crimps grabs copper, second one grabs insulation, and then this actually crimps in and it snaps into the connector, but these little tangs right here actually stop it from going too far, basically. So just so you know. So now I'm gonna land this guy, and these things can come out, so before I plug it back in I always check them all. And you gotta pay attention which way the tangs go. you can basically just redo. So what happens with these guys is once they go in, like I said, this is kind of like a barb fitting. And if you have one you want to remove, you basically take needle nose pliers and you pinch this together, and then the connector will slide right out. But when you go to put it back in, you got to make sure that this little groove channel in here is all uniform, and then that barb fitting will grab that connector and hold it in place. You want to make sure that these are almost perfect so they stay in, so when you put the bulkhead fitting back on and you tighten it down, it doesn't push these back through, and that'll cause you headaches. Ask me how I know. So just want to make sure that they're in. Yeah, we're in. So I'll bury that off camera in this loom just to keep things looking tidy in here. I won't put you through that. I also got to bury this wire here, which is my AC trigger. But yeah, I don't need to. I've already made you guys bored as it is. But so basically, that's our battery feed, of course. But I need to put a fuse between the battery and this bulkhead fitting to protect that battery input. And you would think that because the trigger is coming off of a fused circuit, but that's not going to protect the battery feed powering the pump. So if the battery feed goes to ground between the positive terminal and the pump, it's not protected. So it's important to make sure, and I'm not going to depend on a 150 amp chassis fuse to blow if this battery feed goes to ground at some point. It is ran inside of a metal dash frame. People could mess around in there and get it to short. So you want to make sure that that battery feed is protected. So I actually don't have one of those fuses on hand, but I will put one in just because I don't want to see this car burn. But that's really the missing link here, and I'll land all that stuff, but I wanted to go over this with you guys so you understood how this all works and how I do it. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the next project.